He was a giant among men, towering at 7 feet 2 inches tall, with arms so long they could nearly wrap around a boxing ring. To most who saw him, Julius Long looked like an untouchable force of nature, born to dominate the ring, not by finesse or footwork, but by sheer scale. His reach was biblical 90 inches in. His confidence was even larger. But sometimes, the taller they stand, the harder they fall. Julius Long didn't just believe in his superiority, he flaunted it. His persona in the ring was a cocktail of bravado and mockery, especially when facing opponents smaller than him. And almost everyone was. His attitude had all the subtlety of a hammer, loud, disrespectful, and never one to pass on the chance to talk down his foes. The ring was his stage, and his opponents, they were props in his personal theater of dominance. In March of 2019, that theater welcomed a new character, Hemi Ahio, a relatively unknown fighter from New Zealand. Compared to Long, he was modest in stature, a full 100 pounds lighter, without the hulking intimidation factor. But Hemi wasn't here to match body mass. He had something far more dangerous: quiet confidence and patience sharpened by resolve. The stage was set for March 30th, the lights blazing on a ring where size was expected to be the story. During the pre-fight promotions, Long didn't miss an opportunity to drown the build-up in ridicule. His words, often wrapped in absurd humor, were intended to humiliate Hemi before they even exchanged punches. "Tomorrow night, when I get you in the ring, you ain't gonna need heat," Long joked to the cameras, lips curling into a smile. "I'm bringing oil and cooking grease. I got pies in my bag, and I'm turning up the heat. I'm the towering inferno." This wasn't trash talk, it was derision. But the New Zealander didn't respond. He smiled, letting the weight difference, the jeers, and the spectacle roll off his back like sweat in the gym. For Long, this silence was infuriating. He was expecting fear, maybe even deference. What he got was poise, and that was a problem. At the weigh-in, the scale didn't lie. Long registered a staggering 148 kilograms, dwarfing Hemi by nearly 100 pounds. The contrast was absurd. And yet, when Hemi stepped off the scale, he wasn't intimidated. He looked like a man on a mission. The kind of man who knew that words were cheap. The kind of man who understood that karma doesn't need an invitation, it just needs a reason. When the bell rang for round 1, the mood shifted. The crowd, still amused by Long's showmanship, quickly fell quiet as Hemi started to decode the skyscraper in front of him. He jabbed low, danced away from the counters, and found rhythms in the gaps between Long's awkward swings. Julius, despite his size, had a strange stiffness to him. His footwork was clumsy, his defense thin. It wasn't long before the smaller man found the keys to unlock the towering inferno's gates. Then, in a flash of frustration, Long turned. To provoke, he shouted at Hemi mid-fight, throwing his arms out in disbelief. How dare this smaller man touch him, score points on him, make him look human? But if Julius was expecting that anger to break Hemi's focus, he misunderstood. The man in front of him, Hemi, wasn't here for a fight, he was here for justice. Midway through the fight, Long's antics only grew worse. With every jab he missed, he tried to recover through ridicule. When he evaded a punch, he'd mock his opponent, arms wide, chin lifted, like a child playing pretend. But no one laughed when Hemi's left hook landed clean on the jaw, or when a precise uppercut wobbled the towering man's legs. Each round chipped away at Long's image, and the crowd began to notice. The arrogance was crumbling. As the fight wore on, Long, so confident at the start, began to show cracks. His punches lost their snap, his movements became slow and labored. Hemi, on the other hand, looked sharper with every second. He wasn't wasting energy. He wasn't brawling. He was breaking a giant down piece by deliberate piece, and that's when the petty tactics came out. Long, unable to match the tempo, threw a punch after the bell. An act of desperation, a man realizing that the tide had turned and trying to cling to the illusion of control. But the referee wouldn't tolerate it. The crowd wouldn't excuse it, and Hemi wouldn't be fazed by it. In one comical but revealing moment, Long even ignored the referee's commands to move away from his corner, choosing instead to remain planted like an overgrown statue. The moment exposed him for what he was, not a beast, but a man out of answers. By the middle of the bout, the battle had become one-sided. Hemi's fists were precision weapons, each one punishing the mountain of meat in front of him. Long was absorbing them all, and like a man determined not to fall because of pride, he kept standing. But his resistance wasn't resilience, it was stubbornness in the face of the inevitable. Even the crowd began to recognize it. The air filled not with excitement, but with the unsettling anticipation of watching a once great figure teeter on the edge of collapse. Then came round 7. By now Hemi had turned up the heat of very heat. Long had bragged about bringing, only this time, it wasn't metaphor, it was pain. Blistering combinations, sharp hooks, body shots that reverberated like thunder. Long's defenses were paper thin. His guard couldn't stop what was coming, and it came, hard. Blow after blow rocked the giant. His body bent awkwardly under the pressure, the ropes holding him upright like strings on a marionette. His mouth hung open, His eyes, swollen and distant, no longer held the glint of a fighter, they held something closer to regret. The arrogance, the jokes, the mocking antics, none of it mattered. Now all that remained was pain, humiliation, karma, and then at the close of round 7, Hemi Ahio ended it. One final, ruthless volley collapsed Long's defenses. The referee had seen enough. The bout was waved off. The skyscraper had fallen. The crowd, stunned, erupted. There was no celebration from Hemi Ahio, no grand display of victory, just a simple nod. A humble warrior, standing in the aftermath of justice, served as Julius Long staggered back to his corner. Perhaps he remembered his own words, maybe even regretted them. But by then, it was too late. The only story that mattered now was the one written by fists. The moral had written itself, echoing the words once spoken by Manny Pacquiao. Those who humble themselves will be exalted, and those who exalt themselves will be humbled. Julius Long had come to the ring expecting to be admired. He left it reminded of his own humanity. His arrogance had been met, not with anger, but with calm, brutal consequence. And that's the thing about instant karma, it never brags. It doesn't need a microphone or a spotlight. It arrives with silence, strikes with precision, and leaves nothing but truth behind. If you found this fall from grace as stunning as we did, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Do you think Julius Long learned his lesson? Could he ever return stronger, or did Hemi Ahio's fists teach a final chapter? Let us know in the comments below. As always, stay tuned for more stories where the truth gets settled in the ring.